Hey all, Pixel here, Improbable Garage, and we're going to be looking at the Oldsmobile now that it's been primed on one side. It seems like the primer's cured properly. I won't really know until I go and try and sand it. There's a little bit of weirdness, like, I don't know if this even shows up in the camera, but there's a bunch of like really shiny lines right here that feel like I must have rubbed it to see if it was dry when it wasn't completely dry, and it therefore did something weird there. But overall, it seems to have gone on well enough, and it seems to have cured well enough for my purposes. Like, nothing's tacky or wet or sticky or anything like that, which means that clearly the primer did okay. So the great thing about this is, you know, it's letting me see the panels as they really are. Like, this repair here is good and done. It needs more primer to, like, it needs to be sanded and then a little more primer put on because it's got a texture difference due to it being, this was primer, this was metal, this was filler. So you can still see it through the primer. But like over here, this probably could use a little rework. Like, there's definitely a little more sanding that needs to happen down here. This edge isn't perfect, but I might be chasing perfection there and screwing it up over here. Now that this has been primed, yeah. Okay, so I apparently filled in whatever dent there was. Apparently that tiny little bit of filler was all it needed, but this area needs more sanding to smooth it all out. So, and then there's like a little pop there, and a little one there. So this fender is going to need the very slightest bit of work, and then it can go into its final primer and be painted. All of this in here I'm not going to really worry about at all. It's just going to get painted, scuffed and painted when I get to that stage, because it's now got 2 coats of primer on it, and I'm not worried about tiny imperfections. So let's see. Doors, the underside of this one still needs to be stripped and painted, but the top came out good. I can see and feel some imperfections in it that I like. You can still very slightly see the pitting, so that's going to need probably some spot putty for that. This whole area needs sanding and filling. The dent that's over here this area needs filling and sanding. This dent over here needs filling and sanding. The slight line from the vinegar bath needs filling. This needs a little bit of filling, and then where is it? There's a very shallow dent right here, but I think I'm going to leave it because you can only feel it. Like, even try, like, I can kind of see it if I sight on it, but given there's going to be trim here, it's going to be like really hard to notice it. So I think, again, I might be chasing perfection. That's going to need a little bit of work. This door, aside from that weirdness with the lines, because it's weird because if I do this, it's got a texture difference. It's almost, but I don't, anyway. Same thing, we got the vinegar line here that needs a little bit of filling. But that's basically, and then this needs a tiny bit of work. And then there's the dent here. But kind of looks pretty good overall. Oh, there's a little tiny ding there, but I think it might be under the trim or right on the edge of the trim. This still got a pinhole in it, so I'm going to have to remove a little bit of the primer there so that I can fill that pinhole. The backside here doesn't look great because I brushed on the Master Series and it's got texture, but it's the inside of the door, so I don't care. Hood still needs, okay, oh, actually, wow, that's pretty good. The the texture that the hood had from the pitting is almost completely lost in the texture of the orange peel. So I think if I put a good coat of filler primer on this and sand it, all that will disappear and it'll be dead smooth. Obviously the whole front still needs the rust sections replaced. You can see where the rust is more clearly now. Basically, you know, kind of that. Actually, no, the middle here. So this is the good thing with the primer. We'll get to this some more, but like you can see this pit or hole or whatever that I couldn't see before. And then, whoa, and over on this side, same deal. I hit all the exposed metal with just, it's actually graffiti paint. I did the same thing over there. Anywhere where I had ground it off, I just sprayed over it just so that it's covered. It looks like hell, but I don't care. I just care about it not rusting. Yeah, I'm caught on the car cover, which is caught on the car. Okay, now we get to the really big one. So, quarterback here, by and large, came out good. Like, this area is going to need nothing except sanding and a little tiny bit of work where the leading was here, because the tool that took off all the paint took out some of it, like scraped up the leading. So that leading's going to need just the tiniest bit of filler to just smooth it back out again. This is all good. This is all fine. There's a little bit more leading there. Same deal. This is leaded over here. Same deal. It's just going to need to get smoothed out. This area up here, again, the leaded. Well, this is actually the edge of the paint too. So this is, once I grind this back, I'm probably going to have to fix the lead. This all here is where lead was. This became a lot smoother once it had paint in it. But this is all going to get either seam sealed to make this really smooth, or possibly the fiberglass filler. I haven't decided yet. What else before we get into the big stuff? Yeah, same thing. The pits are really obvious in this. But now that they're all sealed up, that's an easy fix. So let's get into the things that I found because I primed. This is, I was hoping not, but I kind of expected I was going to find stuff. The thing when you put primer on is that issues pop out that are totally invisible because they're lost in the different colors and textures and whatnot before you prime. So we're going to go in random order because, so down here, there are a couple of pinholes. When I reach into the back, I can't feel anything obviously wrong there. So what I'm probably going to just do is grind the primer back and attempt to fill those with the welder and then grind them smooth. Up here, similarly, there's one little pinhole there that was missed in the weld work. There were holes over here, and what I did in this area, because trying to fit a patch was going to be bad, was just filled them with weld, and I just missed one there. This area over here, I need to fit the trim and see how the trim fits to know exactly how much, because like part of this is exposed, part of this is covered, but I don't know quite how much of this edge is covered to know exactly how much rework needs to happen in there. There's a very tiny pit there that I'm not going to worry about, because those are all just, that's just slightly porous weld. That's not through the metal. Down here, there's a hole there that I missed that needs to be fixed. Same thing, I'm going to fill that one with weld. I think, judging by the grinding over here, I think I did that before with some other stuff. And then over here, there's basically a couple of pit. I don't even know if these were rust or if these were hot welds that burned through, but I need to touch those up. And then here's the bad thing that I somehow totally, I either missed this or noticed it and forgot to fix it. But there's a rot right here. So I'm not actually done the rust repair on this side. So I wish I had noticed this, or wish I'd remembered, whichever the correct thing is, before I put that panel on the back, because that would have made this a much easier fix. But this is going to need some sort of cutting out and another piece welded in, which is going to be kind of a pain in the ass now, because the backside is sealed off, and this piece, you know, there's the bracket here that holds where the door latch striker goes. But that shouldn't be terrible because it's going to be a pretty small patch. I might even get greedy. No, I don't think I'm going to be able to just fill that with weld. I think that'll be a real shit. It mostly depends on how thin the metal around that area is. But I mean, it is what it is. That stuff's going to need to get... Would it need to get fixed if I'd noticed it before priming? It's going to need to get fixed now. Whatever. But the car just looks so much better in primer. Like, yeah, all this metalwork looks like crap and will need a bunch of reworking. But look, it's all one color now. So that's an improvement. Ditto, you know, the doors and stuff. I can put the car back together and have it be presentable until I get around to that stuff. And like I can put the car together. I can put the lights in and stuff, and I can just drive it around like this without caring necessarily that the body work is needed. And you know, if anybody mentions, I'll be like, yeah, this is just the primer until I get to the body work. And if they have a problem with that, that's their problem, not mine. So the next stage is finishing up this area so that I can prime up into the roof a bit, because I know I'm repeating myself, but once I get a good coat of primer on all of this, from the top edge of this around and in is all covered in trim and will not need to be body color painted. So I can put all that trim and weather stripping back on, which will help the windows seal. And then the other thing I need to do is finish this rust repair and strip out. Like I got to get all the crap out of this entire channel all the way around, treat all of that rust, and then that'll let me prime in here. Same thing, all this strip here needs to be stripped back because it looks like primer, but it's primer on top of the paint, not on the bare metal. And the paint on this, you can see how crazed and multi-layered the paint is on this thing. It definitely needs to come off. So I still have stuff to do before the car's weather tight, but all these panels aren't going to flash rust again, which is just this changes my feeling about where I am on this car so much, because now it's like, okay, I've got a small project there, I've got a smallish project over here, and then the car can be put together enough to be weather tight, and I can just drive it around for a while. Like, who cares if it's half white and half old paint and kind of looks like shit? It's an old car. It's clearly being worked on. Whatever. That really changes how I feel right now. That really changes how overwhelmed I am. So this is all good. This is all to the good. But it's freezing in here right now. So I think I'm going to go back inside. It's actually lunchtime. I'm going to go back inside and I will pick this up when I start working on the next piece. Well, that sucked. It sucked last time, and I forgot how much. The front door is not so bad because you can hang it, you can put it on the hinges and then lift it up the little bit it needs for everything to line up. So that one just kind of is annoying. This one is god awful because not only can you not do that, but the two hinges, if you see, are at totally different angles. This one's over here and comes from this side. This one's over here and comes from this side. So you're fighting. And this hinge is the one that keeps the door open, so it's got a spring in it that makes it, once it's open, want to stay open. So you're fighting this one when you're trying to get this one to the right angle, and it just, hate it. Hate it so much. And then also, the door is, even jacked up, the car is just low enough that I'm bent over, and it hurt my back pretty badly. And I don't know how much was visible on the thing, but at one point, I picked it up and tried to set it over here because I was about to drop it, and I didn't hit the carpet and instead dragged it along here and scratched the hell out of the primer. So that sucks, but that's not a huge thing because since I need to prime other stuff, I'll just sand that smooth and then hit that at the same time that I'm doing other stuff. But still a bummer, still frustrating. The next big thing I have to do on these doors is realign them again, because right now the front one, the back is down too much and it won't latch. This one is also down too much in the back and it's hitting the body back here. So that's going to be some quality time with a lot of fiddly tweaking. The fender, is on. It's got 2 screws right now, just keeping it in place, mostly so that it doesn't slide to where the hood hits it. This piece of tape is keeping the little rubber spacer in place. Because if I want the car to be watertight, this bolt has to be in to pull it onto that rubber spacer. The bottom has no bolts in it right now. There's another bolt, a stud that sticks out of the fender about here-ish, that I put the rubber washer on as well, so that can be tightened up, and that'll seal up the 2 holes in the body that would otherwise be open and let water in. What I was talking about with hood, you can see even now how tight the hood is to the fender, because the fender is not quite in the right place. But right here, the fender gets whacked by the hood really bad. But I put this one in so that I could push the fender all the way that way and tighten it up, just to get it in the right place, you know, get the fender over enough and stay there. Put another one back there similarly to just keep the fender in place. And then I taped the little rubber. I broke when I took these bumpers off, I had to cut the backs of them off because they won't pop back through the holes. So this is just tape there to do its job. And again, keep the hood off the fender. For now, I'll have to buy some more of those. So that's good. The car's back together. I needed to do this as quick as possible because I needed my space back. We're getting real close on the back. Like, the walls have all been painted. We're hoping tonight, the last coat just went on a little while ago. My partner was painting there. And we're hoping that dries enough that we can install the toilet tonight, and maybe we can get the vanity in place. It won't be fully installed, but it'll be mounted in place tonight. And then, like, that means we'll have a half bath by this weekend. So that means, so many tools need to come out of the house again. You know, all the sanding stuff, all the painting stuff. There's just a ton of tools that are in the house right now that need to come back out now. And what I've been doing, because it's been a disaster in here too, is just piling stuff wherever. And now I'm at the point where my piles are on top of my piles, and I've lost things in my piles, and I have bins that are, And I couldn't get in here with all that stuff to put it away properly because all the car parts are in the way. So anyway, I'm blather. But yeah, I just needed to get the car reassembled into a car-shaped thing so it can be kind of out of the way. I think I'm going to leave it cockeyed like this for just the moment, because I think I want to finish everything under that wheel well. Like, this got primed in here, but it needs to be seam sealed, and then it needs to be painted and truck bedded. So I think I want to try and get all that done before I put the wheel back on, just so I can know that this is all settled under here, so I don't forget that there's still a bunch of gaps and stuff in here that need to be dealt with. Hang on. Gonna close the hood again. Yeah, you watch how carefully I have to be to make sure that it doesn't hit there. My plan when I rebuild the hood, I've got a couple ideas of how to make that less dire. One of them includes radiusing this possibly, but now that I'm looking at how flat it becomes, I don't think that actually helps me. But the inner structure, like in this area, my plan is to modify it also. It's canted inward, so there isn't that sharp edge to hit the edge of the fender here. So that, and I might even like permanently install a piece of rubber along that edge, so that because the hood is the hinges are sloppy in a way that I don't think it's wear. I think they've never been really great, but I need to have something so that I don't have to risk it hitting the fender, because if it does on my new paint job, I will cry. Anyway, there. That's what she looks like. Hell of a difference. I'm very happy. Like, it's not going to stay white. Yeah, I've got plans for colors. Side trim is definitely going to go back on because I like the side trim, unless I get a crazy idea. I've actually been looking at side trim off of other stuff that's available. That's the biggest problem. But I've got some crazy ideas involving Buick rear doors and different side trims. But that's a future me thing. But for right now, the car just looks so good reassembled and all one color. Like, it has never looked this good in my ownership. because if we go over, I don't know how well the other side will show up because it's kind of buried, but yeah, it's dark over here. Like, let's see, will camera adjuster, will it just suck? Like, for those of you who haven't seen this car in detail, like, the paint on it is ruined. It is utterly destroyed. The whole car was covered in Plastidip. This is the last bit I haven't been able to get off because it's so destroyed that it is like part of the hood, or part of the roof. And at this point, I'm going to try and get it off with the same tool that strips the paint all in one go. I don't know if that'll work, but this is so miserable to get off that I'm going to try. But the rest of the paint is under that was in really, really bad shape. You can see this dark black here is where the white paint is so worn. You can start to see the black undercoat through it, because I think they painted this black and then painted the white over it. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that's how it happened. And even the black paint is not super great. This is just touched up over the... Yeah, you can't see it well anymore because there's so much things on top of it, but the tops of these were all pretty wrecked. So the car needed a repaint no matter what, because the paint was just destroyed. I do slightly regret getting so gung-ho on stripping it all, because that stalled the project real bad. But I wouldn't have mind driving around like this, but I got so gung-ho I'm going to repaint it. I'm going to do that. But so now what I really need to do is get gung-ho on stripping this whole side down and putting it in primer so that the whole car matches. Because right now it looks real weird. And it will look even weirder outside the garage like that. But for right now, that just looks really good. It looks so much cleaner. I can see every dent and ding, and I don't care at the moment. Because it just... yeah. So that's it for today. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.